So you never fail, you never fail. So you never fail, you never fail. I'm not turning back now. I'm giving in. I'm not turning back now. I'm turning back now. I'm not turning back now. I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you, Jesus. 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 I'm not turning back now. I'm not turning back now. I'm not turning back now. He paid the debt that he did not owe. What came from his hands, feet, and his side was more precious than silver or gold. The blood that set me free, it came from a life of sin and tragedies. I'm born again, free from sin because of the blood. He paid the debt that he did not owe. What came from his hands, his feet, and his side was more precious than silver or gold. The blood that set me free, it came from a life of sin and tragedy. Most of all, I'm born again, free from sin. Because of the blood, one day I plunged beneath. Oh, dry from an angel's face. Yes, they was. Yes, they was when I was yes, I am. Free from sin. What can wash away my sin? What can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood. The soul saving, sanctified, anointing. It was amazing grace. How sweet, 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 sweet the sound. One day my soul was lost, yeah. But now, there is a fountain now. Hey, filled with love. Sin came beneath the fountain, but you know what? Lose it all, lose all your blessings. I'm sanctified in it. Filled with the Holy Ghost. All because of the blood.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 980 AM WDDO, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwennette Westbrooks and Mr. Dumas.
Good evening and welcome once again to the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host, and certainly happy you could join us this evening on such a beautiful day. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I know I did, and look forward to this upcoming week. COVID-19 still in effect, even though some restrictions have been lifted. Mass restrictions in certain places have been lifted, but there are still some guidelines as far as what distance we should keep, how we should conduct ourselves outdoors as opposed to indoors, and all of those things. And so we're seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel. The vaccine, they've increased the numbers as far as who can get vaccinated. They're now looking at teens and younger people getting vaccinated as well. And so there may be some light at the end of the tunnel, as most of us hope for anyway. Today, we don't have a special guest, but I will be joined by President Westbrooks as we're going to talk today about some of the concerns with law enforcement. We know there's a shortage of law enforcement here in the Bibb County area, and we're going to look at what some of those causes could be. How can they better recruit? Is it okay to hire a young person as a police officer? And so we're going to look at some of these things that are affecting our community. We do know that all the shootings continue in the Middle Georgia area, plaguing our community. Black on black shootings that has caused a lot of concern throughout Middle Georgia. And we want to look at some ways that could possibly curb those shootings. So far, there hasn't been a solution that has been effective in order to kind of curb that activity. We know that now the temperature has warmed up, people are more active out in the community, and so it brings about a lot of interaction between people, and sometimes tempers flare, and we can have a lot of discord that's generated through that. Last week, the fuel concern, people were running out, buying gasoline and storing it. Some people were doing it in a very unsafe way, which a lot of the social media have posted some of those concerns. Hacking seems to be a big issue as far as cybersecurity as it relates to all of our companies. And so we have to safeguard ourselves, knowing that that is a big threat throughout the country with cyber attacks. That is probably the cause of the fuel situation that we dealt with on last week. And so everybody ran out to the pumps, filled up their tanks, and kind of caused a lot of havoc as it relates to trying to get gasoline. So I hope you got your gas, didn't give out of gas, and was able to go throughout your daily activities without having too much concern. Shootings still going on, funeral processions still going, just a lot in this community that we're facing. On last week, we had Miss Brenda Sutton Williams on our show, and we talked about family intervention. We talked about mediation and what are some of the things that can help curtail people making a decision whether to fight someone, shoot someone, or make amends. And it seems that many of us are witnessing where people are not able to do proper conflict resolution. And that is a major concern in our community. Even right up the street in Atlanta, they had a shooting. I think there were 12 shootings that were in the Atlanta area over the last day or so. And so it's a major concern, not only here in Middle Georgia, but across the country. And we do want to hear your input and what you think of that can curtail some of the issues we're facing here with shootings in our Black community. You can reach us here at the radio station, and we'd love to hear your comments or your concerns. You can reach us at 478-250-1444. Once again, that number is 478-250-1444. So give us a call here. We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to talk to you. And maybe you have the solution for all the shootings and all the Black on Black crime we seem to be facing here in the Middle Georgia area. The NAACP, we continue to fight for those who can't fight for themselves, those who are facing injustices every day, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in the community, your schools, or simply in your workplace. And so be sure to let us know if we can help you if you're facing some type of discrimination in whatever place that may be, because we do know that if we don't say something, nothing can be done. And so our work has truly been cut out for us in the last couple of months or weeks, in that we've had numerous complaints, and several of those complaints have come from the Bibb County jail system. I see that President Westbrooks has now joined us. Good evening, President Westbrooks.
Good evening. Good evening. Hi, everybody.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you all. Can you hear me?
I think we're having some audio problems with her connecting. If you can hear me, President Westbrook, kind of raise your hand. I don't hear any audio from you.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good evening, everyone.
So go ahead and let our listening audience let us know what our discussion is today, in that we're talking about some of the effects of hiring professional law enforcement and some of the challenges that we've seen kind of play out throughout the week and throughout the year as it relates to not having enough police officers, as well as having the properly trained police officers.
Yes, I know, for some reason, actually, when I was at the office earlier today, I picked up some more mail. And, it seems though, since we get mails from people incarcerated, but it seems like more and more we're getting mail from people that do have some type of mental health issues. And a lot of time it's not coming from them, it's coming from a family member that's advocating for them. So we're seeing more and more complaints from people that have mental illness. And, Mr. Dumas, yourself and I, we've, lobbied the state capitol to try to, make some changes to the laws. And when it comes to people with mental health, and it seems like, because of COVID, and actually since the government has defunded our Central State Hospital, where people that have mental illnesses will be able to go and get treatment, is basically fell back like on the community. A lot of these people are just basically homeless, and not getting the proper care, and not getting the proper medication. I think we talked a little bit last week about, people that have not yet been actually professionally diagnosed with diagnosed with mental illness. So I know that's the very concern. We're gonna probably most likely have, because we normally do seminars related to these types of issues, but since we're not able to do it in person, we're gonna do some things and have some professional people on to actually talk about it. But right now, I think our big focus also is on the crime actually in Macon and all over. We've been hearing mass shootings across the United States. We've been had a lot of mass shootings, and right here in Bibb County, we just been had a lot of killing, and you just don't have an answer for. It's not one particular answer, not one right answer to try to resolve it. I just know that we got different things that are going on. A lot of it is conflict resolution, and but we have to try to come together to try to. I know I talked to Colonel Carswell last week, and he said that they was working on something. They was going to keep us, and I asked them to please keep us in the loop because we're concerned about a lot of the killing that's going on in the community.
I know in Atlanta, I heard on the news they had 12 shootings that occurred in Atlanta, and the mayor is putting together some type of task force in their community to address a lot of the shootings that they're experiencing. I'm just wondering if Bibb County is going to implement something similar to that, where they're incorporating people from various parts of the community to give their input on, tackling this major problem.
Right. And so, I think, I know they have some things being put into place. But I kind of, and we're going to do a press conference probably sometime this week, but it's going to have to be in a language that people understand. I don't know, I want people to be able to see the complaints that we have in the magnitude of complaints that we have, so people can understand that, once you're incarcerated or go to prison or whatever, it's a lot of things that take part in law, and actually when you're sentenced. And so it's not that easy to just send a letter and say, I need help. I didn't, whatever the reason is that there's making contact with NAACP is not that just easy to send a letter. It's an appeal process, and it takes money to do that. So I'm just saying we gotta stop putting. Sometimes we know things that happen, but we gotta stop putting ourselves in positions where we're in the wrong place, or in a place that we shouldn't be in, or because, like I said, it takes money to do an appeal. And when you don't have the representation that you need to appeal your case, to get your case back in court, you end up stuck in prison, doing for your entire sentence that you were sentenced to. So people just got to understand that the consequences that they're facing when these laws are broke, especially with this, when you're just shooting and killing. People they're just not thinking.
Absolutely.
I just don't think they're thinking.
And do you think that with COVID-19 being in effect, where people are sometimes, around certain individuals more so than normal, that the interactions can cause a lot of the disagreements that people end up getting into, that causes violence? Or I know there are other contributing factors such as gang activity and things of that nature, but you would think that once COVID-19 had come into play, that the crime rate would actually decrease, but I think it's actually increased quite a bit.
Well, I think that, you got people who are still not, they haven't complied with the CDC guidelines from day one. They still gathering. And one thing I frown on is house parties. I think that a lot of this, um, a lot of this crime is when there's gathering. People uh, are in close proximity, and tempers fly, and maybe somebody there that already has a beef with somebody, and we, for some reason, we think that guns is what we need to turn to, and we don't know how to resolve the issue without guns. It's different people or different churches, pastors, um, different organizations, trying to do what we can do to um, curb the crime. But in all actuality, Mr. Dumas, is left up to the person. People, I'm saying, when you can just shoot and kill somebody, you first gotta value your own life.
Exactly.
You gotta value your own life before you can value someone else's life. And so we just gotta we gotta think about that, because most of the time that making beer, our crimes are solved. So people not thinking about the predicament that you put your family in. You and I'm going to give you an example. You have somebody that's 25 years old, maybe has a baby, has a mom, has a dad, and when you make decisions that when it comes to taking somebody's life, what happens is your child end up growing up without a dad. Your you know your family is hurting, in a lot of times financially, because if you're in prison, they're constantly having to take money that they wouldn't have had to pay, sending money for persons that are incarcerated. And then on the other hand, you have the other family that's grieving, that's at a loss too, because they've lost their loved one. So it affects both families. And I don't think people are looking at it like that. They're just doing things in the moment, and they're not looking at the consequences. And
Brings about a lot of hardship.
yeah. And then I just don't understand how people can just shoot and kill somebody. And we got a lot of these guns that are illegal. And a lot of times they're coming from somebody's home or car that people have broken into. So,
And I guess when you look at crime, people look at it in so many different ways. I know we've had a shortage of law enforcement, and I don't think that policing, they're able to police and patrol as much as they possibly would like to, in order to sometimes be in an area to deter people from engaging in shootings. But it was quite appalling, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, when even the sheriff, when investigating a homicide, that they actually had someone to pull up and actually start firing their weapons, even with law enforcement being present.
And that's what I'm saying. You got people that do not fear anything. What normal person would come up? You see the sheriff everywhere, and then you come, you started shooting, and you just can't shoot. You probably wasn't shooting at anybody, probably just shooting up in the air, but you can't do that. But I'm just saying, the respect and the lack of fear, of law enforcement, because you see the police is there, but you have no respect for the law. And so I just don't. Hopefully, like I say, we all need to get together, put our heads together, try to figure out some things that needs to be done. It's the age group difference is, some ages are you got 25, 30. And like I say, it just depends on the age and and people and where they are. Like I say, I think a lot of the killing, it has a lot to do with conflict. It has to do with conflict, regardless whether it's about money, whether it's about a woman, whether it's about somebody having a beef with someone, and we just have so much more that we need to be dealing with in this country, rather than people shooting and killing each other, and then people are doing mass shootings, and we have so much more that we need to be dealing with. I was just we reading here earlier today, our voting rights are in jeopardy. They're requiring us to have photo IDs in order to request an absentee ballot and to actually submit an absentee ballot. So we got things going on with our judicial system. And people not realizing you end up getting into the judicial system and get into get into the system where it's not fair. Then you end up getting a lot of time. So basically, people just gotta stop and think. We like I say, I was reading earlier a couple weeks ago when we was talking about voting, and we got people killing each other and shooting each other, and then we got and killing somebody is a felony, and then you got an officer, a former sheriff from I think from Wilkinson County, that they I guess he was tweeting and was actually sending text messages, and they were actually investigating him. The FBI was investigating him and found texts in his phone saying that he enjoyed charging black people with felonies to make sure that they weren't able to vote. So he would, if he stopped you for a traffic ticket, you may end up getting charged with a felony. And he said that he did that to make sure that they didn't vote. So people, we just got a much larger problem in across our country, even in making be other than us shooting and killing each other. Our voting rights are being attacked. Our judicial system is in turmoil. I don't know if you heard last week when they were, trying to get jurors to serve on jury duty. People are not wanting to serve on jury duty. Exactly. It's hard. People are not showing up because they don't trust our judicial system. So we just got a lot of things that's going on. Like I said, with mental health, employment, people are constantly losing their jobs, and people are applying for. We just got so much going on, and people are not realizing that the importance of other things that we have going on that affects us, our social economics and health, education, all of that, and then they just going around shooting and killing each other. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's pretty much like we're creating our own smoke and mirrors, where we're distracting the community on the real issues that are really affecting us as a race of people. Because as you mentioned, while we're killing each other, our rights are being taken away, we're being subjected to brutality and all kinds of things that we can't get the focus on it because of the dealing with all the killings that we, we're
and
doing.
then just last week, the governor signed, he's rejecting federal fundings for people that are drawing unemployment. So, right. Those are the types of issues that we need to be dealing with. We shouldn't be dealing with all this shooting and killing, and people not even, it's not making sense that people are just not thinking before they act. I don't know if they feel that if they shoot and kill somebody, that nothing is going to happen. You're just going to get away with it and just walk free. I don't know who in their right mind would want to just spend time in jail if they don't have to. It's not making sense.
I think particularly with people that have been incarcerated before, they look at it as, okay, oh, well, I'll be back where I used to be, and they pretty much learn those systems and don't feel that, a lot of times it's better conditions than how they live on a day-to-day basis. And so they tend to really downplay incarceration. And particularly with gangs, a lot of the gangs actually operate outside of the judicial system. While they're in the system, they actually running the streets.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why it's so important that I'm glad our new district attorney had a vision. She talked about our youth and opening, on the form of district attorney, he had something in place for our children that were in school that got into trouble, that things that would be, a program that was offered to them. But our new district attorney said that she think it should be opened up, not just for people in school, for children in general. So because once you get into whether it's the RYDC or once you get into that environment of being incarcerated, sometimes that tends to follow that child, and they continue to stay in trouble.
Exactly.
I just think that we gotta, kids have gone back to school. We may have to, use some cases, for example, personal things that have happened to us, to go into the schools and talk about it, to try to, if we can save, one child, then that's we've done what we're here to do.
Absolutely. And so, our community, as I've talked about before, not only is the Black community being affected by these killings, but also other communities as well, because people are transient. They're out in the community. They're purchasing things. A lot of these shootings happen at gas stations, convenience stores, restaurants, places
right
where everybody kind of, goes and, does their business. And so it's not only an African-American community problem, but it's a community problem across the board. And so if it's not, dealt with, certainly that effect will spread throughout this community.
Yeah. And, I know that, we talk about Black on Black crime, which is so, people say, when the police shoot and kill us, we march and all of this. And then when we kill each other, we don't do. But and we should be speaking out, because we should not be killing each other. But I sometimes think about that, because people make it seem like that Black people are the only some people that are killing each other. And then we just got a lot of mass shootings all over this. We just need to stop the killing. It doesn't matter whether it's black, white, red. What we just need to stop the killing. And people say, Black people are not the only people that are killing each other. We just need to stop killing each other, period.
Absolutely. Well, for our listening audience, we thank you for joining us today. Our time is up, but we do hope that you'll tune in next week, and we'll be right here at the NAACP Truth. Thank you for joining.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.